SLU-PP-332 for muscle growth. Let's talk about, we call this the ageless axis, your muscle, your heart, and your brain. Those are the most important organs that you can have when you're in your 80s, 90s, 100s, and even today. So what is SLU-PP-332 and does it work on the muscles? Well, same genes, same mitochondria, zero exercise. Imagine if there was a compound that activates genetic programming as if you were running 10 miles without ever leaving your chair. Now, I'm not advocating that, but I'm telling you there's a new version of molecules that are blowing my mind, and SLU fits right in there. So I'm Regan Archibald, founder of Ageless Future. If you want to get a personalized peptide protocol, just go to agelessfuture.com, meet with someone on my team, get your blood labs ran, and we'll help get you dialed in. Okay, so let's talk about something that I think is completely reframing how we think about muscle and longevity, because when most people hear muscle building compound, they think size, hypertrophy, bigger biceps, and I love the way that physical fit people look. There's nothing wrong with hypertrophy, but as you start looking at longevity research, maybe having more muscle is not always better. It's the quality of the muscle. And SLU-PP-332 is at the center of what predicts the quality and the health of your muscle. And it's not measured in the mirror, it's actually measured in the mitochondria. And so what nobody tells you about is muscle and aging, because after 40, most people are losing about 1% of their muscle mass per year. Some of you, it's even more. The bigger problem is you're losing the power in your muscle, so you lose balance. And that means you can fall and break the head of your femur or break your hip. And if you're over 65 and you do that, your cause of all death, the dying of all causes, increases by 50%. So let's protect your muscle. So the problem isn't the size of the muscle, it's the type of the muscle. When we lose this muscle, these oxidative, slow twitch muscle fibers, these are the fibers that are dense with mitochondria and they burn fat efficiently. They're the ones that keep you resilient under sustained exertion. So if you think VO2 max, if you want to decrease your likelihood of death of all causes by over 400%, all you got to do is get your VO2 max to the elite level. It takes a lot of work. I spent about a year getting mine to the elite level, and I'm keeping it there because I don't want to go back in time. But SLU-PP-332 was a big support in doing that. So when you lose this ability to keep these kind of slow twitch muscle fibers going, all you're left with are these fast twitch glycolytic fibers. They're the ones that fatigue quickly. They rely on glucose. Yes, you may be able to push yourself, but not for very long because they have fewer mitochondria. And that shift drives this metabolic decline we associate with aging. And this is where the result is more fat. You're going to gain weight easier, less endurance, worse insulin sensitivity, faster cognitive decline. Your VO2 max, your body's maximum oxygen consumption, which is, that predictor of longevity that I talked about before, this is going to decline as well because it's directly tied to oxidative muscle fiber. So most compounds you read about don't touch this, and there's a lot of things out there, and people are taking a lot of weird pills. But what SLU-PP-332 does is it helps improve VO2 max, your number one longevity predictor. It depends on your oxidative muscle fibers. And so let's talk about the science. So SLU-PP-332, it activates these ERR alpha, ERR beta, ERR gamma. These are all these estrogen receptor related receptors, and they're the nuclear receptors that regulate mitochondrial biogenesis with oxidative phosphorylation. So when you activate them, you're essentially running the same genetic program that aerobic exercise activates. So the result is a massive shift in your muscle tissue towards this oxidative fiber type, more slow twitch fibers, more mitochondrial density, greater fatty acid oxidation capacity, better endurance, more metabolic efficiency. This is not hypertrophy, it's qualitatively an upgrade to the fundamental energy producing architecture in your muscle. So here's one of the studies. In diet-induced obese mice, SLU-PP-332 produced a 25% increase in fatty acid oxidation, increased resting energy expenditure, improved insulin sensitivity, decreased visceral fat mass. Phenomenal. These are all downstream effects of this oxidative fiber shift. Remember, in the muscle. The muscle didn't just burn more fat, it became much healthier muscles because of the mitochondria. This metabolic profile completely shifted when they moved to SLU-PP-332 because now they demonstrated that it could be administered orally and it had the same ERR activation, same downstream metabolic effect. There was no difference between the two. Now, this confirms the mechanism is robust and translatable, not just a single compound quirk. Now, here's the nuance. SLU-PP-332, you're wondering about muscle health. It's not a hypertrophy compound. It's not necessarily going to give you a bigger chest or more muscle mass in traditional bodybuilding sense, but it gives you better muscle, more metabolically capable, more mitochondrial dense, more oxidatively efficient. I think it gives you more of the fun kind of muscle where you can go for a long hike, you can go for a long run, you can enter into that ultra race where you're running through the trails. Ideally, come join me in Utah and my sons, and you can run farther and you can have more energy. But if you want to grow more raw mass, there's other peptides like MK677, CJC1295, and we've got great videos on those, or even like ACE031, this myostatin inhibitor that is pretty phenomenal. If you really want to have healthy muscles in your 70s, your 80s, your 90s, you got to protect the metabolic engine that keeps the system running. It's not just about hypertrophy at that stage. It's about having the ability to have mitochondrial density in your muscles. So think SLU-PP-332. It's not about size. It's about metabolic quality. Now, here's the thing. The research on VO2 max and longevity, it's unambiguous. People in the top 25% of VO2 max for their age have dramatically lowered their all-cause mortality than those in the bottom quartile. Now, the difference isn't small. If you think about the difference, it's comparable to the mortality risk of smoking. Now, the primary driver of VO2 max is oxidative muscle fiber quality, mitochondrial density, fatty acid oxidation, capacity, oxygen extraction, efficiency. Elite endurance athletes develop this over years of training, decades of high-volume aerobic work, slowly shifting their muscle fiber composition towards this oxidative phenotype. What SLU-PP-332 does, because it's working on these estrogen-related receptors, it's activating that same genetic pathway that drives adaptations. It's not a replacement for training. It's not what I'm saying, because at Ageless Future, we always recommend exercise. I love exercise. We actually have a whole class that's called We Can Exercise For You. So for those of you who are just getting started in exercise, get an event, like maybe a 5K or maybe a lifting event, or just take a picture of yourself with your shirt off now and then work towards better body composition 90 days from now and just keep taking pictures. But sign up for that challenge. Do something that pushes yourself. That's where we found people make the biggest shift. Because if you're looking to change your body composition, yes, SLU-PP-332, MOD-SC, CJC, there's a lot of peptides that can help. GLP-1's big thing. But you've got to put in the work still. And so put some tools in there. SLU-PP-332, it's just a tool. It's not the end result. But what we found is it can compress the years of this aerobic adaptation that you want so that you can actually start running those distances, mountain biking where you want to mountain bike. So how do you get started? Well, the very first place, we've got to look at your blood biomarkers. And so if you're not looking at your blood labs, that's a big problem. First thing you want to track is testosterone, IGF-1. Those are related to your anabolic and muscle maintenance markers. Also look at your fasting insulin, your hemoglobin A1C. And then look at these massively important markers like homocysteine, C-reactive protein, to see what kind of burden there is in your body. So at Ageless Future, every single client that we work with sets up an intro call. We want to figure out what your goals are, clarify where you want to go, and then we build an operating system around what you want to accomplish in your health. And so is SLU-PP-332 right for you? Well, we're going to find out once we look at your labs. And so go to agelessfuture.com. And for those of you who want to watch more in-depth discussion on SLU-PP-332, check out my next video. What is SLU-PP-332? It'll give you everything you need to know about this peptide. I'm Regan Archibald. I'll see you there.